to take advantage of the weakness. That's why I think the debate on the Republican side is so important, and why when I see, I have to be candid, a candidate like Ron Paul, whose foreign policy is, if anything, worse than the Obama administration, apparently leading in Iowa, according to some polls, it just gives me great concern.
Doesn't that, though, get to the heart of the concern on the right, that we have the world's greatest military? We're responsible for 43% of planetary military expenditure. We can go in there, we can topple the regime, but we lack the strategic clarity to enforce our will on these nations. And we shall shortly see in Afghanistan, after an American retreat, the same thing we see after the American withdrawal in Iraq. That's the critique from the right.
Well, I think we don't have strategic purpose anymore. I think the president lacks that clarity, and that's one reason why I've argued before we need more of a debate in this presidential contest on foreign policy. We have not had enough on the Republican side, and as the president's weakness goes ever more apparent internationally, I think voters need to know what their alternatives are.
And what would you say in terms of where the debate is then? Because obviously, as you said in Iowa, it looks like they're going to vote by quite an impressive margin for a guy who is in favor of a 19th century isolationist republic that stays aloof from the world's quarrels.
Well, you know, we've got 6 days to go, and the way this race has gone, almost anything can happen. But I guess I'd say to people who look at Ron Paul and have some measure of support for his domestic policies on the libertarian side, I'd have to say, look, I'd consider myself pretty libertarian, but you cannot live in fantasy land. The rest of the world is not going to leave us alone, and we need a commander-in-chief who understands that. A Ron Paul president would simply not address the challenges we face. So if you're thinking about Ron Paul because of his domestic issues, think again and look at virtually any of the other candidates and consider how they would be as commander-in-chief. That's the president's first duty, defending the country.